When your clients' brands need to stand out, make them brighter with brighter promotions. Named Supplier of the Year, a Sage A+ supplier, and recognized with numerous industry awards. From fast-turn, single-color imprints to brilliant full-color processing, our dedicated team of more than 45 professionals delivers the wow factor. For larger direct import programs, our own Chinese factories provide global capabilities with the attention to detail, responsiveness, and understanding of your client's needs that only a domestic company can provide. With full product testing and hundreds of thousands of successful orders and reorders, Brighter Promotions delivers fast, dependable, high-quality promotional products. Brighter Promotions, making your clients' brands shine, is our passion.
Hello and welcome back to Promo Perspectives. My name is Nicole Cook, and today I am joined by one of my favorites, Sage Thomas, who's a part of our distributor sales team. Sage, I'll go ahead and let you formally introduce yourself.
Yes. You are one of my favorites as well. And I don't have to say that. She didn't.
Yeah. Thank you.
But my name is Sage Thomas. I am, as she said, a distributor account advisor with Sage. I've been here, coming up on 3 years now. So October will make it 3 years. I'm excited to chat through this topic today. It's a good one.
Yes. So to that end, today we are talking about all things back to school and promo, because obviously we're kind of like in back to school season, and we figure like what better time to kind of like keep it on top of mind and talk about like why school matters and all that good stuff. So I'm going to jump right into it and just say, so when people hear back to school, I'm sure they are thinking like backpacks, pencils, pens, things like that. But it's a lot bigger than that. So can you just talk a little bit about like what kind of is this season?
Yeah. Well, I think you said it perfectly, right? It's a season. It's not just one topic. And I think that's where back to school gets a little bit of a stigma, right? When people hear or distributors hear back to school, they think, well, it's only for distributors who work with schools or work with sports teams. And that is true, right? Those distributors do exist, and that does tend to be a large chunk of their business. But in all reality, it is a season, right? If we look at it from a larger perspective, back to school is back to work, right? Our kids are going back to school, but we're getting back into our routines. We're getting into a very large hiring season for a lot of businesses. We're moving into fall, right? That's right around the corner. We've got Labor Day coming up. Now we're moving into the holidays. So it really is just the idea that we're starting to ramp things back up. And I think that there's a lot of potential there to really capitalize on as a distributor.
Yeah, totally agree. I love how you said that too, that it's really like a season. It's not just like this one time that I think we can all get a little pigeonholed into thinking that it is.
Yeah.
So, to that, and you kind of spoke to it, but like organizations beyond schools, like what types of businesses should distributors be talking to at this time of year?
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? When we're looking at back to school, it's not just about the kids, right? It's not just about the backpacks and the pencil bags that the kids need, but it's also really heavily focusing on the parents, right? So a lot of local businesses will work with parents that have kids that attend local schools. So approach your local businesses. In a lot of ways, some of these schools are even looking for sponsorships. I know I was talking to my manager the other day. Her little boy is 9 or 10, and he's getting ready to go back to school, and they have two things that they do. They have a back to school picnic or a little fair that they host. And so they're looking for sponsorships for that. That's a really good way to approach different businesses around your area. But then they also do this other really cool thing for kids who are in the lower grades, where each grade wears a different color t-shirt. And that way, new kids to the school know what different kids are in what different grades. Teachers can recognize what students are in different grades, right? It's something fun, creative. They take the shirt home with them. So anything in that nature too, right, is something that's definitely a good opportunity for a distributor to approach.
Yeah, I like that because it's like a different way to approach the back to school theme without being like so on the nose and like just talking about the schools, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So also kind of pulling on that thread a little bit, like what are some categories of products that tend to perform really well during this season?
Yeah, so obviously I think you have your backpacks, your tote bags, your pencil bags, your lunch boxes, right? I think those are just common ones that obviously come to mind with that theme. However, I mean, I think another really big seasonal piece of back to school is sports, right? Sports teams, football. I live in Texas. We're a football
Yes.
state. So stadium seat covers, flags, banners, all kinds of things in that nature. Tumblers, right? Camping, we're moving into the colder seasons. So blankets, first aid kits was one that I saw too. That was kind of a big deal for some of those outdoor adventure type businesses and people. So there really isn't any limitation on what products kind of fit into this space because it is such a large general spectrum of potential customer options for you.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So, if a client maybe says to their distributor, like, we don't sell to schools, like, how would you help them see the opportunity? Like, what would you advise somebody to say, like, to kind of bridge that gap?
Yeah. So I think where back to school and distributors tend to find a little hesitation or a little bit of hurdle jumping, if you will, it's that oftentimes you use the perfect term, right? We pigeonhole ourselves into thinking it's all about the product itself, right? We're trying to promote a specific item because it's back to school. So we've decided backpacks are going to be our go-to. And so when we approach a business, we're only showcasing backpacks. When in all reality, when you're really trying to market yourself seasonally, it's better to look at essentially what you're trying to accomplish with that customer, right? You're wanting to make that pitch relatable. You're wanting to make that conversation something that they can walk away from and go, I didn't think about that. So really dig into who your customer is, right? If your customer is a dentist's office, but maybe they don't have any relation to a school, lean it back into, okay, well, I'm sure you work with parents who have kids that are in schools, right? So what about a lunchbox that you could send home with them that they can then send their kid to school with? So it's just thinking outside of the product and outside of the box and leaning into more of what your customer is looking to do during that season. I think that's the biggest push.
Yeah, and I think like taking the dentist example, like I'd argue a lot of like appointments are happening up again in the fall. Like a lot of things are happening in this like season of time that it's more of like a reset that it really does affect all of us
Yeah, absolutely. I
and all
mean,
businesses.
seasonally, right, this is one of the biggest transitional seasons in my opinion, because when you're transitioning into the summer, a lot of people are going on vacation. So yes, there's a transition there, but there's not a lot of movement, right? But when you're transitioning from summer to fall, there are so many things that are happening ahead of you over those next 6 months that you can then leverage as a distributor. So it really is a good time to kind of hit the ground running from a lot of different angles.
Love that. Okay, well, is there any other like advice that you would give any distributors looking to capitalize on this season? You've already given so much great advice.
So the thing about this is don't hold yourself back just because you feel like a specific theme doesn't fit your clientele base, right? In any situation, whether we're looking at back to school or holidays or employee appreciation or start of the summer, there's always an opportunity in there somewhere. Even if you work with administrative businesses and that makes up 90% of what you do, there are still good golden nuggets within those opportunities in every season throughout the year. So don't just look at something, go, oh, that doesn't fit into my wheelhouse. I'm not going to listen or, take that into account when I'm having my discussions because there are still things that you can learn outside of what's directly in front of your face.
Yeah, love that. Be creative
Be creative. Thank you. Nutshell. Let's simplify. Land the plane.
No, but this is all super, super helpful. And even for me who like came into this podcast with an idea of like what does back to school promo mean? Like it really is so much bigger than just going back. So thank you for all of your insights that you shared today. And thank you to our listeners for joining us again. And we will see you all back on our next installment of Promo Perspectives.